What's up, people? Ras Atiat here in Singapore. Thank you so much for joining me. It's the Night Owl podcast. And as always, I really, really love this platform. And yeah, I took my own sweet time building it to the way that it is right now. And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, and maybe it'll change again in the future. But I like who I am when I'm on this podcast. I don't have to be dressed up. I don't have to be, pretty or put together. I don't have to have my teeth brushed. That's terrible, right? But I get to actually sit here and be myself for a moment, kind of unload a little bit, decompress a little bit, work through some of my thoughts with you guys. And yeah, yes, I do benefit from the fact that you don't feed back to me right away, but I also get to get the message out. It took me a while to get to a place where I feel good about the fact that I am creating because I want to create, not because I want likes, not because I want followers, but creating purely from the standpoint that I want to kind of bookmark or put a pin in the thought that I'm feeling at the moment because I think it's relevant. I think it's an aha moment for me. And I'm hoping by sharing and explaining my thought process and the way I see the world or the way I see the applications for this particular philosophy, explaining all those things I hope are actually helpful to you. So I wanted to go through the thought process a little bit about how I come up with some of these topics because lately I have been saving up a storm. You know that little bookmark kind of tag that you have on the bottom of Instagram posts? Well, I've been bookmarking a lot of stuff that's in my saved folder, and even if I post them in my stories or don't post them, I kind of like bookmark them so I can come back to them later. And I have a stockpile of these ideas that I want to discuss because it's more than just sharing the picture itself. I want to discuss it a little bit, like pick it apart, turn it over in my hands, kind of examine every piece of it and see how it could be true or how it may not be true or what I see, based on the concept given. So today I want to look at this post from Lisai Holistic Healing, and it's a page I've been watching and following for a while now, and they have some really beautiful, beautiful sentiments that they share via post. So this one happens to be by Ryan Elliott, if I'm reading that correctly, Ryan Elliott, and it says, "Forgive those who didn't know how to love you. They were teaching you how to love yourself." And this is one of those quotes that kind of stopped me a little bit, and I was like, yo, really? That is true, and I never thought of it that way. As much as we recognize very quickly where, somebody isn't very loving towards us, or maybe they're loving us with all that they have, but it's not enough for us, we have to say something at some point, right? We can pretend like it's enough sometimes, and we can pretend like we don't see the cracks in what it is they're giving us or the intentions behind what they say they're doing. Any of those things, like we can expect the best from somebody, we can love them so much that we will see past their flaws and past their pain and everything. And as much as we would do for them, they don't necessarily, they may not be capable of doing for us. But it's those situations that we learn the most from. It's that's where we learn what our boundaries are. What will we allow and what won't we allow anymore? So that first love usually teaches you a lot. And when you come from a place that isn't a secure attachment style, you tend to go through that codependency. You tend to have avoidant or anxious attachments, depending on what your childhood was like. And you do your best, right? You do your very best. But at some point, there's a threshold that is reached, and then you're suddenly like, okay, enough is enough. I can't do this anymore. I gotta say something because it's destroying me. Now I am unrecognizable. I am not the person I thought I was because of the way that our dynamic is. And it's because I allowed it that the dynamic is like this. And like I've said in many, many episodes before this, sometimes it's a matter of allowing things because you're afraid of letting people go or afraid they'll walk away because they're not willing to do for you like they do for you like you would do for them. So in that regard, I had never thought about it as, hey, when they hurt me, I'm learning to stand up for myself. When they treat me badly or they embarrass me in front of people or they speak ill of me when I'm not around and it comes back to me, I'm learning that, hey, you know what? I can either tell them that I heard about it or pretend like it never happened and see if it happens again. Like I can allow it or I can stop it. And it's up to me. And at that point, I need to be ready for them to stay or to walk away, either way. So it's an eyes wide open kind of situation. And when they talk about the fact that their behavior towards me teaches me what I will and won't allow. This is, I think, how do I even explain this? I think it's through these kinds of relationships that you really learn who you are. It's in these moments that you really learn that, hey, maybe I'm a physical touch person, or maybe I'm a words of affirmation person. Maybe you don't care about words of affirmation so much, but you can tell by behavior whether they enjoy your company or not, or whether they want to spend time with you or not. And you're maybe one of those quality time people, or you like little gifts throughout the day. You like to have people show you that they're thinking of you. So maybe it's a gift of a message, or a gift of, flowers or stuff like that. Like, I am not a gift person, mostly because we never really had money to throw gifts around like that. But we would do things like, heartfelt notes, or we would show encouragement, spend quality time, things like that. So the gift of time sometimes is actually plenty. So it's in those moments that we have difficult relationships that we really learn what's okay and what's not okay. Where is our threshold for pain? What can we let slide, and what really affects us, as in, like, what do we replay in our heads over and over again? And it's those those difficult relationships that allow us to know ourselves the best. I love I love my brothers to death. I love them to pieces. I love them to life, whatever you want to say. But there are some moments where I don't look forward to interactions with them, because I know they're going to call me out on my bullshit. I'm not ready, or they're going to put me in my place because I'm making a mistake and they can see it, but I can't see it because I'm in the situation itself. Maybe it's a situation where they're doing something crazy, and I know that they're doing something wrong and they're hurting someone on purpose, and because I am on the outside, I can see and I can correct them. But it's also a matter of, if I correct you, how will you feel about me? Let me give you an example. There was a friend of mine a while back. He was a DJ in the UK, and I was really good friends with him. We were flirting back and forth a little bit. Yeah, I was a little bit in love, I think. I actually flew all the way to London one time to throw a New Year's Eve party that he happened to be DJing for, and I opened a record label. I got involved with some people, like, just trying to help him. I was thinking it was going to help him out, but it didn't. But either way, I made some really great connections. But eventually, he asked me, "Hey, will you check out these?" What is he saying? These lyrics that I wrote. And I was like, yeah, sure. He was like, I would love your honest feedback. Oh, are you sure about that? So he gave me the invitation, he invited me to critique his work. At which point I grammatically corrected something, because it didn't make sense the way the wording was laid out. It was going to give him a different meaning, and I didn't know if he had thought about that or not, or considered it. So I gave him that piece of advice, and suddenly his energy changed, and he no longer asked me for my input ever again. So I knew that at some point, the way I responded to him changed the way he felt about me, and so he removed his energy from my atmosphere, and I felt the loss. I felt like, damn, I really hurt his feelings. I wasn't trying to, but yeah, I took a risk. I was honest, and as hurt as I was for a little while, it wasn't as bad as it could have been if I had continued and gassed him up and let him think he was all that and everything, and then come to find that he didn't like me in the first place, something stupid like that. It could have been worse. So at that point, I had nothing to lose, because it wasn't like a full-on relationship. We were talking to each other on Instagram for a little while. There was another young man that I spoke to for a while, and it was just he had come to me in a time of need, and he came to me like a big sister situation, where he was like, yo, I need your help. I don't have a big sister. Would you look out for me, help me understand some things? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So because he was in such dire need, I spoke to him every day. I would check in on him, make sure that he was okay. And as sweet as he seemed to be, at some point I kind of was getting tired of the fact that he constantly needed me to be around. I had to check in with him. It's almost like he was treating me like somebody who had to tell him where I was at all times, and if I wasn't where I said I was going to be, he would get very irritated. But it was meant to be like a big sister, little brother kind of situation. I was like, yo, this is warping a little bit. I don't feel comfortable. And so every so often now, even like, years after the fact, he will reach out and say, hey, how are you? Do you remember me? And I'll say, yeah, of course I remember you. But then he gets very offended that I remember how it ended and not how it began. Because to me, the reason he's reaching out is because he's upset with me still and he hasn't gotten the closure and he wants the closure, but I don't want to engage. I'm not ready to go through that roller coaster of how I'm wrong and he's right and I should just change and be who he needs me to be again. So it's those situations. So I've given you an example of where I did something and it changed how the other person saw me, and then how someone else did something and it changed how I saw them. So bottom line is, as much as we would like to think that people are capable of great change and they have a tolerance and they're able to love us the way we want them to, a lot of times they love us with all that they have. And when it's not enough for us, it's up to us to realize that, hey, you know what? It's going to be a situation where do I love you more or do I love me more? And so they're actually teaching us how to love ourselves. What is our threshold? What do we need in order for us to be happy? And it's through these difficult relationships that you really learn the most about yourself. You don't know what you can and can't take until you go through it. You don't know if, verbal abuse is something that you can just let roll off your back like, duck's feathers or whatever you say. Or you don't know if, a word could really hurt you. You don't know if a look could hurt you, if energy changes and you feel really badly about something. So all of those things to say that sometimes the bad is there to teach you more about yourself than learning about the other person. And yes, letting go of them can be the most difficult thing in the world, but who you are on your own needs to be more important than who you are with somebody. Once you learn that you are happiness, you have all that you need within your whole being without any extraneous outside entity, feeding you happiness, you realize that anybody that comes along, child, spouse, parent, friend, cousin, worker, co-worker, colleague, whatever, any other human type creature that comes along, even dogs and cats, right? Cats, oh my gosh. Any creature that comes along at that point has to add to your happiness rather than take from it. And you will start to notice where your energy dips around people. And when it dips, you need to pay attention and see, why is it dipping? What is it about this person that I'm not entirely happy with? And is it something that I can say something about, should say something about, have said something about, so you can start to correct and allow for the best possible interactions. Not all of them are meant to be perfect. I'm not saying that at all. But if you get a chance to have a friendship with someone where you are allowed to tell them off and they're allowed to tell you off, and yeah, your feelings get hurt, but you're not going to walk away and neither are they, then you found one of those ride or die kind of relationships. And it doesn't have to be a loving, sex-oriented, romantic type relationship. It could be, your road dog. A soulmate could be a soul sister, a soul brother, soul parents. It could be anything, any body, any entity that feels like family to you. And that's where I think that it's really important to note that it takes the difficult times to really appreciate the good ones and to know what makes a good time, a good experience, a good memory. So, yeah, forgive those who didn't know how to love you. They were teaching you how to love yourself. And as much as that is a hard pill to swallow, damn, that's deep. What do you think? So let me know in the comments below what you think, how you felt about that. If you have your own experiences you'd like to share, I would love to hear from you. But in the meantime, you guys, love yourself. Love yourself to the best of your ability. Love yourself like you would love somebody else. Like, give it your all. Because you deserve that kind of love. And you know more than anybody else what you would like in the form of love. What would love look like to you, right? So do that for yourself first. And if you can complete you, right? Then you're not going to take shit off of nobody. So I love you guys. I'll catch you again soon. Bye.